Usually when we sit down to do this deep dive, I'm dragging in a pretty massive stack of PDFs.
Yeah, some heavy nonfiction.
Right, exactly. Dense academic journals.
Yeah.
I like to think we keep it pretty highbrow around here. But today, today I'm bringing a pop song to the table.
It is a bit of a pivot for sure, but to be fair, the source material we're looking at isn't just the audio track itself.
You're right.
We're looking at the official liner notes, the lyric breakdown, and that writer's room session where the artist Ti-Fi basically dissects the track line by line.
And that is honestly the only reason this works.
Yeah.
Because on the surface, this track, it's called The Long Game. It's just a banger.
It totally is.
It's got that driving, upbeat pop rock thing going on, like you'd blast it with the windows down on the highway. Yeah. But then you look at the lyrics and you realize, wait, this isn't a love song.
No, definitely not.
It's essentially a manual for neuroscience and cognitive behavioral therapy set to a synth beat.
It's deceptive. And that's actually part of the point of the whole project. The song sounds like a really good time, but it's describing the absolute trenches of mental health recovery.
Yeah, and we're going to get into all of that because the core mission of this deep dive today is to unpack how this track completely deconstructs the myth of self-care.
Right, the aesthetic version of self-care.
Yeah, exactly. The bubble baths and the sleeping in, and how it replaces that with what the artist calls the heavy lifting of genuine recovery.
Which is such a vital distinction.
It really is. And it starts with this central tension, the soothing versus caring thing. That was the very first note I circled in the breakdown.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge concept.
The artist writes something like, let me find it. Soothing feels good for a minute or two, but caring is the promise that I make to you.
Yeah.
I stopped there because I feel like I use those words interchangeably. Like if I'm soothing myself, I'm taking care of myself, right?
You would think so. I mean, that's how we use it in everyday language. But the distinction the source material makes here is actually pretty ruthless.
Ruthless how?
We'll think of soothing as a credit card. You get the thing you want right now. Relief, comfort, a distraction, but you're paying for it with interest later.
Okay.
Caring, on the other hand, is the debit card. You pay up front. It hurts right now. The money leaves your account immediately, but you don't owe anything tomorrow.
Oos. Okay, that lands. So soothing is...
Oh.
What? The third glass of wine on a Tuesday.
It's the wine, yeah. It's the 3 hours of doom scrolling on your phone. It's canceling plans at the very last minute because you just don't feel like it.
Right.
It regulates your nervous system in the immediate moment, but it doesn't actually solve the underlying problem.
Whereas caring is the stuff that usually just sucks to do.
Exactly. And that tension between what feels good in the moment and what is actually good for you, that's the engine of this entire deep dive.
Well, let's get into the first verse then, because honestly, I felt a little personally attacked when I read it.
I think a lot of people do.
Ti-Fi starts right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
The lyrics are sleeping until noon and watching shows, ignoring every ring and every text, just waiting for the panic coming next.
It's a very vivid picture of total paralysis.
It really is. But here's the thing, and I think you listening at home can probably relate to this. When I'm doing that, when I'm ignoring the texts and just rotting in bed, it feels like I'm protecting myself.
Sure.
I tell myself, I am overwhelmed, the world is too much right now, I am taking a much-needed break. But the analysis from the writer's room says that's basically a lie.
Well, it's not a lie necessarily, but it is a massive misinterpretation of your biological signals. The source material refers to this as experiential avoidance.
Which is a fancy clinical way of saying hiding.
Basically, yes. But look at the mechanism behind it. When you're overwhelmed, your nervous system signals a threat. It goes into flight or freeze. If you hide, if you ignore that text message, your anxiety drops immediately.
And that's the soothing part you mentioned.
Exactly. You get this massive spike of relief.
And that relief is addictive.
It's incredibly addictive. It's negative reinforcement at its most basic level. You teach your brain this rule. When I hide, the bad feeling goes away.
But it comes back.
Right. The problem, as the artist points out, is that you aren't actually resting to restore. You're resting to hide.
Which is why the lyric says, just waiting for the panic coming next.
Yeah, that's the kicker right there. You aren't relaxing. You are completely vigilant. The source uses this really intense analogy of a waiting room.
Oh, right. A waiting room of your own design.
Right.
That image really stuck with me.
It's horrific if you really think about it. You aren't in the doctor's office actively getting healed, and you aren't home on the couch actually enjoying a movie.
Right. You're stuck in the middle.
You are in a fluorescent lit waiting room, clutching your ticket, absolutely terrified that your name is going to be called. You are in suspension.
And the texts are just piling up. The responsibilities aren't going away just because you're sitting in the waiting room.
Precisely. And the writer's room commentary makes a scary point here about the neuroscience of it all. The longer you stay in that waiting room, the scarier the door to the outside world looks.
Wow.
You are actively shrinking your tolerance for reality. Avoidance reinforces the neural pathway that says the outside world is dangerous.
So by trying to feel safe, I'm actually making the world feel more dangerous to my brain.
Yes, you're confirming your own hypothesis that you can't handle the world.
Well, that is super depressing.
It is.
But it perfectly sets up the pivot in the song, because the narrator realizes the waiting room is a trap. The lyrics suddenly shift to, but today I flicked the script. I changed the view. I did the heavy lifting for the future you.
Flicking the script is such a good way to phrase it because it implies an active, sudden choice. It's not this gradual, dawning realization. It's a snap decision.
But can we talk about what this heavy lifting actually is?
But yeah, we have to.
Because if this was a movie montage, this is the part where the hero is lifting weights or running up the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Right, the Rocky moment.
Exactly. But in this song, the heavy lifting is booking the appointments, paying bills.
It is arguably the least cinematic montage in history.
It really is. It's boring administrative tasks. So why is that the hero moment?
Because of a core psychological concept called behavioral activation. And this is the part of cognitive behavioral therapy that everyone absolutely hates to hear.
Hit me. I'm ready.
We usually operate on what's called the inside-out model of motivation. We think, I need to feel better, or I need to feel motivated before I can do the task.
Right. I need to be in the right headspace to tackle my taxes.
Exactly. And behavioral activation says that is never going to happen. If you are deeply depressed or anxious, the motivation will not magically arrive.
So what do?
You have to use the outside-in model.
Right.
You change your behavior first, and the feelings follow later. You engage in activities to build mastery, even when you have zero motivation.
That sounds miserable. You're saying I have to do the thing I hate while feeling terrible with no guarantee of immediate relief.
Yes, that is the heavy lifting. The relief doesn't come during the task. It comes from the result of having done it.
And the song frames this through the lens of future you. I did the heavy lifting for the future you.
This is a massive cognitive reframe because let's be honest, present you is kind of a brat sometimes.
Oh, present me is the worst. Present me wants to eat garbage and sleep all day.
Right, present you only cares about right now. But if you can view future you, the you of next Tuesday, as a completely separate person, like a friend you really care about, it changes the dynamic.
I see.
You aren't doing the unglamorous chores for you. You're doing a huge favor for a friend who's going to be really stressed out if this isn't done.
I actually do this sometimes with past me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll wake up and see that the coffee machine is already prepped with water and grounds, and I think, wow, past me was a solid guy. He really looked out for me.
That's it. That is exactly the loop. You build a relationship with yourself across time, and the source material uses another metaphor here that I think is crucial to mention, scaffolding.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Explain that one.
So these boring tasks, paying bills, making the dentist appointment, folding the laundry, they aren't just chores. They are structural support. They are scaffolding around your life.
Okay, I follow.
When an emotional storm hits, say a breakup, a job loss, or a severe depressive episode, if you have no scaffolding, the whole building comes down.
Everything falls apart.
You stop eating, your lights get cut off because you didn't pay the bill, your teeth hurt. You're now in a practical crisis on top of an emotional crisis.
But if the scaffolding is there,
You still feel terrible, you're still sad, but your life doesn't collapse, the structure holds. You're sad, but the lights are on and the sink is clean.
that is a really pragmatic way to look at it. It's not about curing the depression with chores. It's about disaster-proofing your life so you can actually survive the depression.
Precisely. Which leads us right into the chorus, and honestly the central thesis of the track. No more Band-Aids on a broken bone. I'm building a foundation stone by stone.
I feel like Band-Aid is a term we throw around a lot in pop psychology or self-help. Like, oh, that's just a Band-Aid solution. But in the context of this source material, they get really specific about what actually counts as a Band-Aid.
They do, and it ties right back to that soothing concept we talked about earlier. A Band-Aid is anything short-term that covers the wound so you don't have to look at it.
Right.
Doom scrolling is a Band-Aid.
Mm.
Substance use is a Band-Aid. Even oversleeping is a Band-Aid.
It covers the injury, but the bone underneath is still completely snapped in half.
And if you keep walking on a broken leg with just a little Band-Aid on it, you are going to do permanent damage. The foundation the song talks about is a commitment to distress
The
tolerance.
stress tolerance. That sounds like something you learn in military boot camp.
It kind of is for your brain. It's the
Ah.
ability to sit with uncomfortable emotions without acting on them to make them go away immediately. It's accepting that feeling better isn't an overnight magic trick. It's laying the bricks stone by stone.
There's a specific line right after that which captures this trade-off perfectly. It's probably my favorite lyric in the whole song. Trading in the sugar for the park.
Yes. This is brilliant because it works on a literal level and a neurochemical level.
Well, literally, it's stop eating donuts and go outside. Which, fine, I get it.
Yeah.
But going to the park is hard. The park is far away,
Yeah.
and the donuts are right there in the kitchen.
And that is the exact neurochemistry at play. The source breakdown goes into this beautifully. Sugar represents a fast, high-intensity dopamine spike. It hits your brain immediately. It is the ultimate Band-Aid.
And the park.
The park represents a slow-release cocktail of serotonin and dopamine. It's sustained regulation for your nervous system. But, and here's the catch, it takes effort to get it.
You have to put on shoes.
You have to put on shoes, you have to walk outside, you have to brave the weather. There is an effort gap.
That's the problem, though. When you're sitting in the waiting room, that effort gap looks like the Grand Canyon.
It really does. But the song argues that the sugar is a trap. It gives you a rapid high, then a massive crash, and you end up feeling worse than before. The park, the foundation, gives you long-term stability, but you have to pay the entry fee up front, which is effort.
It takes more effort to put on shoes than to eat a cookie.
Yeah.
But the sustained regulation is what actually heals you. It's the long game, hence the title of the track.
Exactly. You are playing for the long-term payoff, not the short-term win.
Now we have to talk about the bridge. Because I was reading the lyrics and I literally laughed out loud when I saw the word prefrontal cortex.
It's so good.
You do not usually get brain anatomy lessons in the bridge of an upbeat pop song.
It is a bold, creative choice for sure. The lyric is, my prefrontal cortex is in the chair. My amygdala was shouting.
It's great. But it's also doing some real heavy lifting explaining what anxiety actually is. It's not just a bad mood. It's a hardware issue.
Right, it's a physiological response. The source material refers to the amygdala as the body's smoke detector.
Okay, walk me through that. How does that work?
So the amygdala's primary job is to keep you alive. It constantly scans your environment for threats. When it sees a tiger, it pulls the fire alarm.
Makes sense.
It dumps adrenaline into your system. It shuts down non-essential functions like digestion. And it prepares you to either run, fight, freeze, or fawn.
Which is fantastic if there is an actual tiger in the room.
Essential if there's a tiger. But for many people dealing with trauma or severe anxiety, the smoke detector is broken. It's hyperactive. It goes off when you make toast.
Or when you get an email from your boss with a vague subject line.
Exactly. The email comes in and the amygdala screams tiger. It completely hijacks the brain. And the key lyric here is, my prefrontal cortex is in the chair.
Right. And the prefrontal cortex is like the CEO of the brain. It's the logic center.
It's a part of you that knows an email cannot actually physically kill you.
Right. But during this amygdala hijack, the CEO's basically tied up in the chair.
Yes. You cannot access that logic. This is exactly why telling someone who is having a panic attack to just calm down or be rational never works.
Because they can't.
They literally cannot access the rational part of their brain. The alarm is too loud.
So if you can't think your way out of it,
Yeah.
what do you do? Because the song has an answer for this. It says, I grabbed the wheel and I chose the ride.
Grab the wheel. This is the somatic intervention. You have to show, not tell. You cannot logic your way out of an amygdala hijack. You can't tell your body you are safe. You have to physically demonstrate safety to the body.
And how do you show it?
By staying. By choosing the ride. The expert in the writer's room connects this directly to exposure therapy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If the smoke detector goes off because of the toast, and you immediately run out of the house, which is avoidance, you confirm to your brain that there was a deadly fire.
But if I stay in the kitchen,
If you stay in the kitchen while the alarm is blaring, while your heart is racing and your palms are sweating, and you just stand there and endure the discomfort, eventually the alarm stops.
and your brain looks around and goes, oh, it was just toast.
Exactly. You teach the brain the alarm is false,
Mm.
and the next time you make toast, the alarm is a little quieter.
That is the rewiring process.
That's the rewiring, but you have to stay present in the discomfort to get there. You have to choose the ride.
That sounds incredibly brave, actually. It frames all this boring, mundane stuff, like staying at the grocery store when you feel a panic attack coming on and you just want to bolt. It frames it as this heroic internal battle.
It is heroic. That's what makes this track so special. It elevates the messy, unglamorous struggle of daily mental health into something epic.
But here is the big question I kept coming back to while I was reading through all these notes. Why?
Why do all the heavy lifting?
Yeah. Why fight the amygdala and pay the bills and force yourself to walk to the park when it's raining? Is it just so we can be productive members of capitalism?
God, I hope not. If the ultimate goal was just productivity, this would be an incredibly bleak deep dive.
Right, like get back to work, you're malfunctioning.
No, that the source material gives a much more profound answer than that. The goal, as Ti-Fi explicitly puts it in the notes, is generating a life I don't need to escape.
Generating a life I don't need to escape. That line completely stopped me cold.
Think about the waiting room analogy again. You are there because your actual life feels uninhabitable. You're constantly looking for the exit door, the nap, the drink, the endless scrolling.
You're just living reactively, dodging the panic.
And the long game is about shifting from that reactive state to a proactive state. You build the scaffolding, you dismantle the chaos, you lay the foundation stones so that eventually you can just sit in your own living room without frantically looking for the fire exit.
But I do want to be clear here because the source material is very clear about this. This isn't a magical happily ever after.
No, definitely not. And I'm really glad they included that realism in the breakdown. The notes explicitly say recovery is not a straight line. You don't build the foundation and then magically never have a bad day again.
There's still going to be days where you sleep until noon.
Absolutely. But the critical difference is intention. And this is really the final piece of the puzzle here. Are you sleeping until noon because you are resting to restore? Or are you sleeping until noon to hide?
Resting to restore versus resting to hide.
One is a strategic, necessary pause. The other is a retreat from reality.
It's tricky though, right? Because from the outside, hiding looks an awful lot like chilling.
It does from the outside.
Yeah.
Inside, you know your own intention. You know if you're recharging your battery so you can get back to building, or if you're just unplugging the machine because you're too afraid to turn it on.
This whole analysis has really fundamentally changed how I look at my to-do list for you listening out there. I always viewed those boring administrative tasks as chores, things that were taking time away from my actual life.
Sure.
But this framing, that they're the scaffolding that keeps the roof up when the storm hits, that makes them feel slightly less soul-sucking.
It gives them dignity. It turns paying a boring utility bill into an act of self-preservation. It's a literal act of love for future you.
Caring is the promise that I make to you.
Exactly.
It is wild to think we extracted all of this from an upbeat pop rock anthem that's probably going to be played in 1,000 spin classes this year.
The best Trojan horses are the ones you can dance to.
Very true. Well, that's the long game. It's a banger, but it's also a blueprint. I think we are all walking away with a completely new vocabulary today. Soothing versus caring, the waiting room, foundation stones over Band-Aids.
And hopefully a little more patience for the unglamorous heavy lifting of getting better.
So for you listening, what's the ultimate takeaway here? How do you apply this?
Well, I'd ask you to look at your own self-care habits this past week. The things you did to take the edge off, the takeout, the canceling plans, the binge watching. Be honest with yourself. Which ones were truly building a foundation for your future self, and which ones were just Band-Aids to help you get through the afternoon?
That is a deeply uncomfortable question to mull over.
It is, but it's the only way to start playing the long game.
It really is. Thanks for diving in with us today. We will see you next time.